Okay, we're in Chapter 10, Basic Concepts of Sport. First of all, sport is an integral part of society throughout history. We know through past chapters of the books of the history regarding sport. It's been studied by scholars since the 50s, so we have a lot of data on it. In the 70s, national and global sport culture merged. It derives from play or the impulse of a human behavior. In your life, what has been your significant sport experience, if any? Were you a player, a performer, official, coach, or even a spectator? Sport is important with an almost religious significance. Not to offend any religious individual, it can be compared to religion, and to some people it is their religion. It is an organized and dramatized in a religious way by the rituals, by the costumes, by the scenes of power beyond your control. Someone enforces the rules. It teaches qualities that are religious in nature: perseverance, courage, sacrifice. It seeks perfection, and it has its heroes. Sport can be intensely communal for players and spectators. It provides a source of deep personal meaning, and it has a power to teach. It can teach you to reflect yourself and society. When we talk about leisure, play, games, and sports, we need to understand the difference between all of these. Leisure is an attitude of freedom or release from the demands of ordinary life. So you have school, that wouldn't be considered leisure. You have work, that would be not considered leisure. It's that free time you have, and it seems to be shrinking with every society. It seems like we have less and less leisure time. It's freely chosen. You're not obligated. If you're obligated to do something, then that's not true leisure. It's a discretionary time left over after all of life's commitments. Play is an institutionalized sports is an institutionalized form of play. So play can be sport, a basic motivation in human activity, different from ordinary life or work, and does not produce a product like work. So in other words, if you're playing, it's not considered work. If you're a professional athlete and your job is playing a sport, that would not be considered play. We have some characteristics of play. First, it's free. You go about it, you volunteer for it. It's separate in places where time and space limits are fixed in advance, conducted in places designed especially for that activity. It's uncertain. Sport is most playful when competition is balanced. So if you feel stressed while you're playing a sport, then that's not really a fun play. Also, it's not very productive when you're looking at it economically. When wealth is produced, playfulness of the activity decreases. And that's what I mean by professional athletes. If they're making money playing football or basketball, then that's truly not play. They may find some other form of play. It's governed by rules. It's almost always regulated by rules that define the activity. It ensures fairness, helps produce a winner, a social agreement which will not adhere to destroy its playfulness. It's governed by make-believe. Play not governed by rules is dominated by make-believe. Yet it still seems that sport play when pretending to be a favorite or star player. Examples of when sport is not playful. When we have experience in physical education, fitness should have strong play elements for continued participation. If we're punishing kids through push-ups and running laps, they're not going to consider that a form of play. When we look at child's play and adult play, early knowledge about physical and social world is acquired through play. Kids learn play through just being spontaneous. Adults use it through calculation, really rituals, rules, that sort of thing. Appreciation for practice, skillfulness, Rituals, traditions are what characterized by more mature forms of play. It challenges, obstacles are gradually increased. When sport is most playful, it is most meaningful for participants. So we look at the definition of games. Any form of playful competition where the outcome is determined by physical skills, strategy, or chance employed by singly or in combination. Remember this is important. Not all games are sports, but sports are always games. Why are games like dice and cards, like poker, not considered sports? Well, it doesn't require true physical skills. It's just really a lack of chance. What about games like chess, bridge, and poker? They're even broadcasted on television. Games, we have primary rules which define the game as it is to be played. Changing these would fundamentally change the nature of the game. We have primary rules. In football, the scoring aspect of it. Secondary rules are things like that you've added, like not roughing the kicker or things like that. That would be considered secondary rules. Games. So how do games gradually evolve into sports? When they have standardized rules, they have a governing body, they encompass a growing sense of tradition that binds people to it. Recent games that have reached or are reaching sports status. Again, games, classification of games. We have invasion games, which are soccer. Target games, an example would be golf. Net or court games would be tennis. And striking, fielding games, which would be baseball. Competition in sport. No competition does not equal game. Some view competition at all costs as positive. Others view it inherently bad and wish to make sports less competitive. Most always is defined as rivalry in which opponents strive to gain something at the expense of each other. Emphasizes the use in economics and business, leads to seeing it as zero-sum competition. Now, zero-sum competition is that one person gains at the expense of another. So a person wins and another person loses. That's zero-sum competition. A broader, richer definition is coming together, seeking competence, different forms of rivalry, and victory is only momentarily, it's fleeting. Carrying it beyond the playing field diminishes the play element. In other words, you have a winner, you have a loser, everybody high-five, you go home, get a milkshake at McDonald's, and then you move on. Reflects development of common codified rules, the need for referees. We know officials are there only to ensure fairness and really there to kind of police, to make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to do and it's fair. Emergence of sport organization at the local, state, national, or international, and tracking of records. The public nature of institutionalized sport, it becomes increasingly public and important to people. It precipitates other professions and businesses. It becomes a more central and influential society or institution. When we're talking about being a spectator, thought to be inappropriate at one point in time, how spectators experience sports may be through intellectually or emotional. Fanatic, fan, phantom, Latin for temple or feast. That's kind of the definition of fan. If we're looking at aesthetics in sport, the performers are subjects of art, which is sculptures or painting. To understand aesthetics values of sports, we see the art within the sport itself. If the sport is art, then it's most certainly a performing art like music, dance, and drama. Performance itself is judged. We look at it through ice skating. We look at it through gymnastics. We look at it through dance. Ballroom dance is considered kind of a dance sport. Aesthetic qualities is harmony, form, dynamics, flow, gracefulness, rhythm, and poise. What aesthetic beauty can be found in a rugby match, a marathon run, or an ice hockey game? A well-developed body in motion, a brilliant play perfected, the drama of the competition, and the unity of an entire performance. What about ethics? It is the study of value, how people should behave. Traditional term is sportsmanship. Better term, fair play. Sport can teach both ethical and unethical behavior. Fair play in the British tradition, rooted in tradition, is the British sport play. Fair play is the way of life. Play by the rules. Do not take unfair advantage of an opponent, even when the opportunity arises. Treat opponents with respect always, and really keep your composure in victory and defeat. Fair play in the British tradition, ever-present tension around fair play, victory within the letter and the spirit of the rules, victory at any cost. Rules and the nature of games, cheating and organized competition is a growing problem. Yes, definitely. We've had a lot in the news. Can you actually win if you've intentionally broken the rules? Some people think that that's an okay thing. Purpose of penalties. General belief. Sport experiences can make positive contribution to the development of children and youth. Good qualified persons to plan and deliver these programs. And this is the end of chapter 10. Now we're going to look at chapter 9, problems and issues in fitness. The importance of physical activity and fitness is really everyone's issue. It's a national health agenda. The health-related and motor performance-related fitness are both important. The increased health costs, all of those things are impacted by lack of physical activity or physical activity itself. Life expectancy for current generations versus parents. We're going to find out that we are not living as long as we used to live. Our children are not, due to lack of physical activity. Most of today's occupations are sedentary. We go to the computer, we sit down for our 8 hours, we'll get up, get in the car and drive, and then get home and watch television or stay on the internet or all of those things. We rarely are forced to get any physical activity. The cost of healthy versus unhealthy food, we know we can go to McDonald's and get a value meal for $1, but yet you go to a Kroger's and get fruits and vegetables, they're much more expensive. Inadequate levels of health fitness now represent a really huge problem in the gross national product. U.S. healthcare spending is over $1.5 billion. Overweight and obesity is the second leading cause of death in the United States. Inadequate levels of physical activity are not simply an individual issue. It's a problem. It's a national problem. So how does the built environment change in the last 4 decades? There's 2 factors. One, calorie imbalance, intake versus how much we expend. It's easier for us to get food. You can get in your car and you can drive not even a block and you're at 5 fast food chains, where 30 years ago there wasn't nearly the number of fast food chains. It was more difficult. Most parents stayed home and ate, other than just driving through drive-through and getting food. The built environment boasts physical and social elements. So what are the parents' perceived barriers to physical activity? One is transportation, lack of opportunity for physical activity in immediate areas, expense, parents' lack of time, and concerns about neighborhood safety. It's very difficult to go and take a walk with your family if your neighborhood is not safe. So, believing versus behaving. Why do people who know and understand the importance of regular exercise still fail to exercise? I don't think there's a person in the United States who doesn't understand it's important to be physically active. But why do we not? attractiveness versus alternative of activities, watching a game versus being out playing a game, watching a movie versus out playing or doing cartwheels in the front yard. Also, there's a problem with, okay, I'm going to get in shape, so I'm going to start exercising. So I start exercising too hard too soon, and I'm turned off, or either I get hurt. Making physical activity a part of every day. Start with a lower intensity activity, such as walking or cycling. Gradually increase both the pace and distance of the walk. Engage in lifestyle physical activities. In your 60s, you're not going to be able to go out on a soccer field and play a full game of soccer with 20 or 30-year-olds. So you're going to have to decide, what am I going to do in my older age? Begin to engage in some type of aerobic activity and more active forms of sport and recreation. Also, anaerobic activities are very important, like weightlifting. Making physical activity a part of everyday living. Engage in moderate to vigorous activity 30 minutes a day. Commit to a sustained involvement. Exercise in ways that are fun and satisfying. And establish exercise patterns that fit recreational interest. Making it part of every day. Employ self-testing skills, fitness planning, consumer information, related information. You can find all of this on special apps on your smartphone, on the internet, on tablets. There's so many devices that can help you get started. The first step to lifetime fitness is to start exercising regularly. Major motivations for youth: the desire to develop and demonstrate physical competence, be able to accept and support within a peer social group and appreciate support from significant adults, to have fun. Activities, experiences need to be positive. Self-efficacy is a term that we've talked about in the past, but it is an important predictor of adoption of and maintaining of exercise behavior. Learning is more likely to be successful if it is consistent activities and is perceived as fun. If you're successful at an activity, your self-efficacy will go up. Engage in significant mastery experiences, so you need to start from beginner and work your way up. Observing persons similar to oneself succeed by sustained effort. Persuade persons that they have the capacity to succeed. If you're wanting to be a personal trainer, that's going to be your job. It's your job to make others feel competent in their physical activity. Start with simple activities and then move to more difficult ones. With youth, being able to see, access it, it does not develop overnight. It takes time. It takes a long time to develop the skills necessary to feel good about moving. The ultimate goal: the average person knows about the different kinds of fitness, what needs to be done to develop and maintain fitness, and what fitness products and services are appropriately given to fitness goals. That's our goal. Media as the problem by the way of false impressions, the image of a fit person, miracles that can occur quickly without any real effort. Take this pill and you're going to lose 80 pounds. Create instant experts who have celebrity status. If a celebrity loses 30 pounds, then they're the ones who's writing the books, other than an exercise physiologist or a medical doctor. We need more information, technique, how to correctly perform a move, the dosage, how much or how less to use. Information is widely available. We need to go and obtain this information, make sure it's correct and safe information. Schools play a central role in this type of education. The evidence: across all age groups, females are less active than males. Blacks and Hispanics are less active than whites. Black males are as active as white males, but black females fare much worse than white females. Young people from lower economic families tend to be less active than those from middle to upper income. Girls participate in sports in record numbers across all levels. Moderate to vigorous physical activity levels outside of organized sports, and they are declining. This is important. Girls drop out more than boys. Physical activities levels decline during adolescence, especially among black girls. We need to do something about that. And recent emphasis on promoting sustaining physical activity among adolescent girls. We have a big problem with this. So what about urban? And there's higher crime rates, higher density housing with fewer open spaces, working parents with little time for supervision of outdoor activities, relatively few recreational facilities, very little adult leadership. The playing field is not level. Those who need it the most and would benefit the most have the least access or opportunity. It's a structural problem. Remove the barriers and create supportive programs in such settings. We're going to look at certifications. ACSM certification is probably one of the most rigorous requirements. A public more informed about fitness are more likely to demand, the more likely people are to demand appropriate leadership in fitness. So not only are you going to need a degree if you're going to go into the fitness world, but you're going to also need a certification. We do not have a mandated certification in fitness or exercise leadership, but we should. The problem is you're going to have to go out and find these certifications. Fitness education must focus on long-term goals and changes lifestyle. What follows then is the measure of daily physical activity. From this perspective, valid indicators of one's fitness. Mass fitness testing with students competing against another is counterproductive. Does this mean that fitness testing in schools should be abolished? No, but we need to not compare students to each other, but to have our students set their own fitness goals. Use it to identify at-risk children, but respect the privacy during both testing and really working with these students. Award systems should be based on criteria references. Remember the difference between norm reference and criteria reference. Accumulate activity as well as performance fitness tests should become part of the evaluation. Self-testing can reduce some of the unfortunate side effects of mass fitness testing. Primary purpose is for diagnosis, providing feedback, setting goals, and charting improvement. The number of Americans aged 65 and older will double between 2030, 34.8 million, and 2070.3 million, a very dominant social political group. Fitness for older Americans is a major issue. Key issues: how to assess elderly, maintain productive lives and good quality. We need to increase physical and physiological function. Reduce risk of depression is a common element. People slow down because they get older? No, people get older because they slow down. Formative years in physical education is key in forming habits, especially in elementary schools. Overweight, obesity patterns in children with those most deficient in reading. Consequences of recent reduction in dose of physical activity. Main goal of physical activity physical education should be physical activity. Increase school physical education and physical activity throughout the day. Fitness need to be mass routine or running or push-ups or jacks once a year fitness testing. Many alternatives, more attractive programs need to be found. Continue problem, lack of time, look for other part of the school day. School as the hub of the family, school and community connection, it becomes everyone's responsibility. Physical education teachers, classroom teachers, principals, parents, community. This is the end of chapter 9.